A trace of hesitation flickered across Hanli's face at Yi Kuai's proposal. He was still weighing the risks when Shi Chuankong's voice suddenly echoed within his sea of consciousness. Our teleportation tokens are false. At present, there's no way back to the Holy Realm. If the Scalptia spatial domain holds any path leading out, it must lie deep within these great ruins. Hanli's brows knit tightly at those words. Do you have concerns, fellow Taoist Li? Yi Kuai asked warmly. To be honest, there is a black tribulation centipede lodged within my body. It has long been a hidden threat. Should anything go awry, I could perish at any moment. My life itself is insignificant, but my death could disrupt Profound City's plans, and that would be disastrous. Hanli replied frankly. A black tribulation centipede? Isn't that something you can remove, fellow Taoist Liu Hua? Yi Kuai asked, turning toward Mistress Liu Hua. Her brows creased slightly. It is a long story. Very well, I will remove it for him. With that, she led Hanli out of the palace. Once outside, Mistress Liu Hua abruptly turned back, her expression dark. Did you intend to corner me into this and force my hand? Please don't misunderstand, Senior Liu Hua, Hanli said hurriedly. I only mentioned it because fellow Taoist Gu told me you intended to remove it after we left the Great Ruins anyway. So, she told you everything, Mistress Liu Hua muttered. I should have known. Have you seen fellow Taoist Gu since entering the Great Ruins? Hanli asked. I haven't. The situation was chaotic. I tried to keep her close, but we were separated regardless. It seems you haven't met her either, she replied with concern. I'm sure she's safe, Hanli said calmly, sidestepping the question. Her expression softened slightly. Your concern for her shows you're not heartless. Otherwise, even under City Lord Yi's orders, I wouldn't fully remove the centipede. Enough. Let's begin. Hanli could only nod with a bitter smile. Before long, the two returned to the hall, and the looming threat of the Black Tribulation centipede was finally eradicated. Shall we depart now, fellow Taoist Li? Yi Kuai asked with a smile. Of course. Thank you for your patience, City Lord Yi, Hanli replied with a cupped fist salute. Then let us go, Yi Kuai commanded, and the group moved out. They hadn't gone far when the entire hall shuddered violently. Cracks raced across the walls, and chunks of stone rained down. This place is collapsing. We must leave at once, Sun Tu cried, panic-stirring. Hanli, already anticipating this, remained composed. He glanced sideways at Chen Yang and was surprised to see him equally calm. Don't panic, Yi Kuai said evenly, his voice instantly steadying everyone. There's nothing to fear. With a faint smile, he swept his sleeve. A burst of white light surged forth, swelling into a towering pillar streaked with crackling white lightning that shot skyward. The ceiling was obliterated in an instant. The earth above melted away, and the hall shook even more violently. When the light faded, a massive scorched opening gaped overhead, leading straight to the surface. Awe filled everyone's faces. Hanli's eyes flickered as he glanced at Chen Yang. The lightning within that pillar bore the exact same aura as the white lightning from Chen Yang's yellow spear earlier. Chen Yang stared upward blankly, his face pale. Cracks spread rapidly around the opening, threatening further collapse. Yi Kuai flew out at once, and the rest hurried after him. Though most couldn't fly freely, reaching the opening was trivial. In moments, everyone stood on the surface. Behind them, the altar continued trembling before finally collapsing into the depths, leaving behind an immense, bottomless crater. The group stood beside it in stunned silence. Hanli surveyed the surroundings with unease. After the last altar's fall, countless puppets had emerged. Would the same happen again? Even with so many powerful cultivators present, a boundless tide of puppets would be overwhelming. Shi Chuankong clearly shared the concern, and they exchanged a glance. Sure enough, the ground trembled once more. Hanli could only smile wryly. What's happening? Another quake? The earth split open as innumerable puppets clawed their way out. Crimson humanoid figures, identical to those before, wielded blazing red greatswords. The moment they surfaced, they lunged at the Profound City cultivators. Everyone swiftly formed a defensive circle, backs to one another. So many puppets. How did this happen? Though alarming, no one panicked. Weapons flashed as they met the onslaught. Hanli swiftly cleaved down two puppets with his white scimitar, only to find their craftsmanship far superior. Fully formed organs, silver fluid coursing within. They were faster and stronger than the beast-headed puppets before. With so many emerging, escape would be difficult. Yet when he glanced at Yi Kuai and Mistress Lu Hua, both appeared utterly calm. "Everyone, no need to worry. These puppets are easily handled," Yi Kuai said. "Fellow Taoist Lu Hua, if you would." She nodded and swept a hand across her waist. A gray incense burner appeared. Han Li raised an eyebrow, another star artifact. As she chanted softly, thick gray smoke poured out, spreading rapidly to envelop a vast area. Puppets caught within slowed instantly, their movements sluggish and attacks weak, while the smoke left Han Li and the others unaffected. Probing with his spiritual sense, Han Li saw the silver fluid inside the puppets thicken. Its flow impeded. Enlightenment dawned in his eyes. Cheers rose as everyone seized the chance to annihilate the slowed puppets, swiftly clearing the area. The remaining puppets recoiled, lurking beyond the smoke's edge and roaring like beasts. Sun Tu glanced at Chen Yang, then laughed. "As impressive as ever, fellow Taoist Lu Hua. What is this smoke? Even these puppets fear it." "A mere trick for subduing them," she replied coolly. Under Yi Kuai's direction, they moved on. The gray smoke followed, maintaining a safe zone nearly 10,000 feet wide. Within its protection, the puppets posed no threat. Soon, they exited the city and emerged from the oasis. To everyone's relief, the puppets seemed bound to that place and did not pursue. Even so, being surrounded by tens of thousands of hostile constructs left lingering unease. Guided by Yi Kuai, they followed the Crimson River downstream. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye before they finally left the Crimson Desert. Ahead, the land darkened from red to black. The air grew heavy with moisture, star power thick and abundant. Verdant plants flourished, forming a dense rainforest. Given the great ruins' ever-shifting environments, no one was surprised. Yet a faint black mist hung throughout the forest, cloaking it in mystery. Yi Kuai paid no mind to the subtle shifts in the surrounding world, striding forward as though wandering idly through his own garden. He employed no visible art or technique, yet each step carried him nearly 1,000 feet ahead, effortless and unhurried. Mistress Lu Hua, Fujian, Qin Yuan, and Xiao Ying followed close behind him, while Chen Yang, Sun Tu, and Han Li deliberately lagged some distance to the rear. Silence reigned within the rainforest. Aside from the soft rustle of footsteps through dense foliage, not a single sound broke the stillness. Han Li cast a sidelong glance at Yi Kuai, then sent a voice transmission to Chen Yang and Sun Tu. "Fellow Taoist Chen, is the restricted area truly ahead? This rainforest feels abnormal." Yi Kuai's own strength was already unfathomable, and with Qin Yuan, Fujian, and Xiao Ying at his side, Han Li's group was clearly at a grave disadvantage. Under such circumstances, lingering grudges had to be set aside. Cooperation was their only option. "I know little of the Great Ruins myself," Chen Yang replied. "I don't know the precise location of these remains, but the star power in the air is steadily growing denser. We are certainly moving deeper within the ruins. At the very least, you possess a key. That alone gives us leverage should Yi Kuai decide to act against us." Han Li nodded, yet the unease in his heart did not lessen. "Speaking of the key," Sun Tu added, "there's something that troubles me. City Lord Yi said 5 keys are required to enter the restricted area, yet fellow Taoist Li only holds 1. He hasn't mentioned searching for the others at all. Could it be that he already possesses the remaining 4? "Perhaps," Han Li replied, glancing toward Chen Yang, who remained silent. "I also wonder how these keys are used," Sun Tu continued. "If City Lord Yi truly holds the other 4, and if the keys remain relevant after we enter, then we would be disadvantaged in every respect. We must tread carefully." Han Li's heart sank. This was a possibility he had not fully considered, and if true, it boded ill. Ahead of them, Yi Kuai continued his leisurely advance, seemingly indifferent to the fact that Han Li and the others were intentionally falling behind. "City Lord Yi," Fujian transmitted coldly, murderous intent flashing through his eyes. "Chen Yang and Sun Tu are clearly harboring ulterior motives. On the surface they obey you, but I believe they're already colluding with Puppet City. We should kill them now before they can betray us. With your power, you could slay Li Feiyu in an instant before he even has a chance to destroy his key." "There's no need," Yi Kuai replied with a faint smile. "I trust that Chen Yang and Sun Tu won't cooperate with Puppet City. Their caution is only natural, given our situation." You're too benevolent, City Lord Yi, Fujian urged anxiously. Chen Yang still harbors resentment over past events. You must be wary. I know what I'm doing, Yi Kuai said calmly. Maintaining peace is best for now. If we turn on each other, we'll only be helping Puppet City. Fujian could say no more. Thus, the group pressed onward, each lost in their own thoughts, and several more days slipped by. By then, they had ventured deep into the rainforest. The trees towered like ancient pillars, while smaller vegetation gradually vanished altogether. Yi Kuai announced that the restricted area lay not far ahead, and the news lifted everyone's spirits. As Han Li moved forward with furrowed brows, carefully observing his surroundings, Shi Chuankong asked through voice transmission, "Is something troubling you, fellow Taoist Li?" "Something feels off," Han Li replied. "In what way? Given the immense star power here, why haven't we encountered a single-scaled beast? This environment should be perfect for nurturing them." Shi Chuankong nodded thoughtfully. "That is indeed strange." Han Li shook his head slightly. "There's no point dwelling on it now. According to Yi Kuai, the restricted area is close. Will there truly be a path out of the Scalptia spatial domain beyond it?" "The information didn't come from Pokong," Shi Chuankong replied. "I uncovered it myself while reviewing all available records in our Imperial Scripture Library. It should be reliable." "I trust you," Han Li said, "but this matter is vital. Can you explain further?" "I'm afraid I cannot," Shi Chuankong answered solemnly. "It concerns a secret of the Night Sun Empire. However, I can swear an oath to the baleful Holy Emperor that I speak the truth." "In that case, I won't ask more," Han Li said, prompting a visible sense of relief from Shi Chuankong. Nearly another full day passed before a vast cloud of crimson mist emerged ahead. The mist was unimaginably dense, stretching endlessly in every direction like a towering crimson wall. It churned and roiled with a low, thunderous rumble, presenting a bizarre and unsettling spectacle. The group halted and stared into the mist before turning toward Yi Kuai. "There's no need for concern," Yi Kuai said. "This is the sulfurous mist sea. Once we pass through, the restricted area will be in sight. It poses no danger, and this is where sulfurous flame blood clouds are born. With some luck, you may encounter one." At once, faint excitement flickered in everyone's eyes. "Do you know this place, fellow Taoist Shi?" Han Li asked. "I don't," Shi Chuankong replied, gazing into the mist with barely concealed excitement. "But if sulfurous flame blood clouds truly form here, this is a tremendous opportunity." "Visibility is poor," Yi Kuai warned as he stepped into the crimson mist. "Be careful not to lose your way." Han Li followed, immediately feeling a crushing weight descend upon him, as if he were trudging along the ocean floor. The mist itself was astonishingly heavy. Raising an eyebrow, Han Li found the pressure manageable and continued onward. Within the mist, visibility shrank to less than 200 feet, and spiritual sense was severely suppressed, extending no farther than 200 or 300 feet. The sea of mist seemed boundless. Even after 15 minutes of walking, its end remained nowhere in sight. At first, unease gripped everyone, but when no danger appeared, their tension eased. The group spread out in a line, each searching for sulfurous flame blood clouds. Only Yi Kuai showed no interest in the search, a detail that did not escape Han Li's notice. Yi Kuai's deep knowledge of the Great Ruins stirred an even greater sense of unease within him. "What are you doing, fellow Taoist Li?" Shi Chuankong urged. "Your spiritual sense is strong. You should search as well." Han Li refocused and released his spiritual sense across the surrounding area. The sulfurous flame blood cloud was the prize awarded to the top contender of the five-city martial gathering, something he naturally desired. At that moment, Chen Yang suddenly shot off in a certain direction. Han Li swiftly followed with his spiritual sense. A flash of crimson light burst forth from the mist before being seized by Chen Yang. It was a palm-sized, gelatinous crimson cloud, glowing faintly. Though Han Li was too far to see him directly, his spiritual sense locked firmly onto the object. The cloud radiated powerful fluctuations of star power intertwined with bloodline energy. It was undoubtedly a sulfurous flame blood cloud. The others sensed it as well, but with the cloud already in Chen Yang's grasp, they could only accept the outcome. Ecstasy filled Chen Yang's face as he swallowed the cloud whole, clearly fearing someone might seize it from him. Instantly, Radiant crimson light engulfed his body. In the blink of an eye, more than 100 profound acupoints lit up across him without his control. Alarm flashed across his face as he hurriedly retreated deeper into the mist. Yet Hanli's spiritual sense far surpassed that of the others. Before Chen Yang escaped his range, Hanli clearly saw that more than 260 profound acupoints had already ignited across Chen Yang's body. Not long after Chen Yang disappeared into the rolling crimson mist, uncanny sounds erupted without pause. Roars like ancient dragons mixed with thunder splitting the heavens. A vast, tyrannical aura surged outward, stirring the blood-red fog into violent turmoil. Faces tightened throughout the group. From the disturbance alone, it was evident that the sulphurous flame blood clouds were no ordinary treasures. At that moment, Shi Chuankong and Xuan Yuanxing broke away without hesitation, vanishing into the mist, while Sun Tu shot off in another direction, Fang Chan following close behind. Hanli paused only briefly before his figure flickered and disappeared as well. In the blink of an eye, all members of Hanli's group were gone. Zhu Ziqing's eyes shone with eagerness, and she was about to follow when Zhu Ziyuan seized her arm. Before she could protest, Yi Kuai spoke calmly. "You may search for the blood clouds, but do not stray too far. Our true objective is the restricted area. Compared to the holy remains, these clouds are insignificant." Voices of agreement drifted back from afar, though none turned around. Yi Kuai frowned faintly. "City Lord Yi, this is intolerable. They no longer heed your authority," Fujian said coldly. "Such temptation is unavoidable," Yi Kuai replied evenly. "Fortunately, this region holds no natural dangers. There will be no great mishap." Fujian's expression darkened, yet he held his tongue. "If you wish to search as well, you may go, but do not go too far," Yi Kuai added. Fujian, Xiaoying, Zhu Ziyuan, and the rest lit up with joy, thanking him before departing, leaving only Yi Kuai and Mistress Lu Hua behind. "You are not going, fellow Taoist Lu Hua?" Yi Kuai asked. "At my age, I cannot compete with the young," Lu Hua replied with a smile. "Besides, even without natural dangers, human hearts are treacherous. Staying with you is safer." Yi Kuai chuckled and continued forward at a leisurely pace. "Weren't sulphurous flame blood clouds said to be extremely rare?" Lu Hua asked. "How could two appear at once?" Yi Kuai merely smiled, offering no answer. Deep within the crimson mist, Hanli halted and activated his spirit refinement technique, spreading his spiritual sense in all directions. Nearly an hour passed before another wave of draconic roars echoed through the fog. Someone had claimed a blood cloud, though who it was remained unknown. Hanli's sensory range rivaled any present, yet he had found nothing. A trace of urgency rose within him. He quickened his pace while maintaining his search. Suddenly, his expression shifted as faint fluctuations reached him from the right. White light flashed, and he shot off like an arrow. He soon arrived at a massive rift in the earth, hundreds of feet wide and plunging endlessly downward. Without hesitation, Hanli dove in. At the bottom, two sulphurous flame blood clouds floated above the ground, colliding aimlessly like headless spirits. Joy surged through him. He seized one instantly, and as he reached for the second, two figures crashed down, Fujian and Duantong. They lunged for the remaining cloud together, but Hanli was faster. "Hand them over and we'll spare you," Fujian demanded coldly. Hanli ignored him, stowing both blood clouds before rising into the air. Fury exploded in Fujian's eyes. With a sweep of his sleeve, a streak of black light shot forth. Steel rang as Hanli blocked it with his white scimitar, but the black light split into 8, striking toward his vital points. Hanli answered with 8 white blade projections, while starlight flared over his other arm and his fist thundered forward. Clangs echoed as light met light. A black sword appeared from nothingness, only to be smashed aside by Hanli's punch. Hanli retreated, frowning at the small gash on his fist. Fujian's face twisted in shock. "Rather than waste time here, City Lord Fu, seek fortune elsewhere," Hanli said calmly, cupping his fist before fleeing in a streak of white light, narrowly avoiding Duantong's strike. Fujian gave chase, Duantong silent beside him. They burst from the rift together, Hanli flying straight toward Yi Kuai's direction to avoid a prolonged fight. Killing intent flashed through Fujian's eyes. Then a voice rang out. "Is it fitting for a city lord to bully one from my green goat city, fellow Taoist Fu?" Chen Yang emerged from the mist ahead, his aura markedly stronger than before. Fujian halted. A misunderstanding? City Lord Chen, we were merely searching for blood clouds. Congratulations on your breakthrough. Duantong withdrew his power as well. So it seems, Chen Yang replied with a faint smile. Fujian cast Han Li a glance before leaving with Duantong. Are you unharmed, fellow Taoist Li? Chen Yang asked. Your arrival was most timely, Han Li replied. With your strength, you would have survived regardless, Chen Yang said. But Fujian is close to Yikwai. Avoid direct conflict unless necessary. After a brief glance at Han Li's robes, Chen Yang departed without mentioning the blood clouds. Han Li changed direction and soon reached a safer area. There, he produced the 2 sulphurous flame blood clouds, eyes gleaming. Such supreme body refinement treasures would be priceless, even outside, let alone in this barren realm. Yet their abundance here felt unsettling. Perhaps this was the true allure of the great ruins. As another roar echoed nearby, someone else refining a blood cloud, Han Li swallowed both at once. In an instant, his body convulsed, skin flushing crimson as searing heat tore through his organs like raging fire. Even his iron will could not suppress a muffled groan. He clenched his fists, enduring the agony. No one had warned him it would be so painful. But then again, Chen Yang had only consumed 1, while he had devoured 2 in a single breath. Barely managing to steady himself, Han Li was engulfed as the scorching force of the sulphurous flame blood clouds surged through his body like a raging tide, tearing through his meridians as though intent on ripping him apart. His face drained of all color, yet his skin burned crimson, while egg-sized bulges writhed across his flesh like living things, forming a grotesque and terrifying spectacle. Agony twisted his features as torrents of sweat poured down his brow, his entire body shuddering beyond his control. The searing heat ignited his bloodline power, causing profound acupoints across his body to flare to life against his will. Even with his formidable will, his consciousness wavered, flickering between clarity and oblivion. Clinging desperately to awareness, he fought to remain awake. And at that very moment, the heavenly baleful purgatory arts activated of their own accord, guiding the raging heat through precise paths within his body. Had he been fully conscious, he would have noticed the heat flowing exactly toward the profound acupoints recorded in the art. Sharp cracking sounds erupted throughout his body as the heat forced its way into unopened acupoints. Each time darkness threatened to claim him, stabbing waves of pain pierced his form, dragging him brutally back to clarity. Gradually, he sensed subtle transformations unfolding within, and a spark of joy rose amid the torment. Enduring the agony with clenched teeth, Han Li sat cross-legged and actively circulated the heavenly baleful purgatory arts, steering the heat toward the newly targeted acupoints. To his astonishment, these acupoints resisted scarcely at all, and within moments, one burst open. Then another, and another, until more than 20 profound acupoints opened in rapid succession. In that instant, 263 profound acupoints shone across his body. The violent heat abruptly dissipated, replaced by a cool, refreshing current that washed through him. The contrast was so exquisite that he nearly groaned aloud, needing considerable time to regain composure. The sulphurous flame blood cloud had indeed lived up to its fearsome reputation. Han Li found it hard to believe he had opened so many profound acupoints in such a brief span, yet the truth was undeniable. He wondered whether such forced breakthroughs carried hidden dangers. As the thought crossed his mind, the cooling sensation vanished as swiftly as it had appeared, and his body returned to normal. Refusing to act rashly, Han Li waited until his bloodline power fully settled before returning to the others. Though he had been gone for some time, he had carefully marked the group's direction and did not lose his way. By then, the sea of crimson mist had thinned considerably. Soon, Han Li rejoined the main group, who seemed to have deliberately slowed their pace under Yikwai and Mistress Lu Hua's guidance. Aside from Shi Chuankong, Xuanyuan Xing, Fujian, and Duantong, everyone had already returned. Yikwai showed no reaction to Han Li's arrival, while Mistress Lu Hua merely glanced at him before quickly looking away. "You're finally back, fellow Taoist Li. I can tell you gained quite a bit," Chen Yang said as he approached. "I made some progress," Han Li replied vaguely. "That's good. But don't grow careless. I've heard Zhu Ziyuan and Zhu Ziqing also obtained sulfurous flame blood clouds. Zhu Ziyuan was formidable already. Now the situation is unfavorable for us, Chen Yang warned through voice transmission. Han Li glanced toward Zhu Ziyuan, who stared ahead with unwavering focus. Fellow Taoist Shi and Xuanyuan haven't returned yet. Neither have Fu Jian and Duan Tong. Could they have crossed paths? Han Li asked. Unlikely. Shi and Xuanyuan left early. They probably ventured far, Chen Yang replied calmly. Han Li remained uneasy but said nothing more. Before long, Shi Chuankong and Xuanyuan Xing returned, their dejected expressions betraying their failure to secure any sulfurous flame blood clouds. Soon after, Fujian and Duantong also came back, their frustration obvious as they shot hostile glances at Han Li, who ignored them entirely. With everyone accounted for, Ikwai increased the pace. After nearly 3 more hours, the crimson mist fully dissipated, revealing a vast mountain range ahead. The range stretched endlessly, its barren peaks devoid of vegetation, starkly different from the rainforest they had left behind. Strangest of all, the mountains were entirely crimson, with blood-red rivers winding between them, and a sweet metallic scent lingering in the air. Yi Kuai pressed onward, leading them deeper until they arrived at a colossal basin. Several great rivers converged there, and at their junction stood a massive crimson palace, nearly as tall as the surrounding mountains and spanning dozens of kilometers, like a monstrous beast crouched within the basin. Its construction was exquisitely refined, the entire structure radiating crimson brilliance in a breathtaking display. "What a magnificent palace!" Shi Chuankong exclaimed sincerely. The palace gates were sealed tight, engraved with countless crimson runes forming an immensely complex array. Han Li examined it closely and sensed similarities to a star array, yet it was clearly something different, a fusion with another unknown array type. 5 small black holes lay embedded within, arranged in a unilateral pentagon. They resembled keyholes, and Han Li's gaze flickered as his hand brushed the 2 crimson keys he carried. Ikwai stared at the palace with fervent intensity, his breathing subtly quickening. "Is this the restricted area holding the holy remains, City Lord Yi?" Sun Tu asked. "That's right," Ikwai replied after steadying himself. The group erupted into murmurs. Sun Tu studied the palace before striding forward and placing his palm against the gates. White starlight radiated from his hand, rippling outward as though probing the interior. Moments later, he withdrew. "I can indeed sense the aura of remains within." "What do you mean by that? Were you doubting City Lord Yi?" Fujian snapped. Sun Tu merely glanced at him without replying. Ikwai raised a hand. "City Lord Sun has reason to be cautious. If anyone else doubts me, you're welcome to inspect it yourselves." "Our cities have trusted you for generations," Fujian sneered while eyeing Sun Tu and Chen Yang, with Qin Yuan hastily echoing his words. Chen Yang's eyes narrowed, but he remained silent. "If no one else wishes to speak, let us proceed," Ikwai said, stepping forward as Fujian and others eagerly agreed. At that moment, Sun Tu spoke again. "Wait. Sun Tu, know your place. You're only a subsidiary city lord," Fujian roared. "Why such anger? I merely wish to ask a question," Sun Tu replied with a faint smile. Ikwai nodded calmly. "Go ahead." "You mentioned 5 keys are required. The only one I know of is with fellow Taoist Li. Does that mean you possess the other 4? Sun Tu asked. "You overestimate me, City Lord Sun," Ikwai replied with a relaxed smile, turning his palm to reveal 2 crimson keys. "Like everyone else, I have only entered the Great Ruins recently. How could I possibly have gathered all the keys? I possess merely these 2. "That makes only 3 in total," Sun Tu said with a slight frown. Fujian and Qin Yuan also looked toward Ikwai. "Then how are these gates to be opened?" "Do not worry," Ikwai said calmly, a faint smile at his lips. "All 5 keys are already here. Fellow Taoist Chen, fellow Taoist Li, now is the time." At once, all gazes shifted toward Han Li and Chen Yang. "I was just about to present mine," Han Li said evenly, though his thoughts churned. From the start, Ikwai had shown no concern about lacking keys, leading Han Li to suspect he already knew who carried them and in what number. With that, Han Li produced 2 keys from his robe, while Chen Yang revealed the single key he held. "So the 2 of you held 3 keys all along," Sun Tu said with a faint smile. As expected of City Lord Yi, everything is within his grasp. Chen Yang offered Sun Tu an apologetic look, then saluted Ikwai. These keys are of utmost importance. Fellow Taoist Li and I kept them concealed to ensure their safety. That is prudent, Ikwai replied dismissively. The puppet city cultivators have yet to appear. Caution harms no one. Fujian snorted coldly. Since the keys are complete, stop wasting time and open the gates already. Wait, Hanli said suddenly. I have a question. Fujian sneered. Li Feiyu, you are nothing more than a gladiator of Green Goat City. Hand over your keys and keep silent. It is fine, Ikwai said. Let him speak. Hanli smiled faintly. I merely wish to ask how the treasures within the restricted area will be divided. Silence fell. City Lord Yi already said the treasures would be split evenly, Fujian said stiffly. Hanli cast him a mocking glance. Xiao Ying also scoffed. Fellow Taoist Fu, you contributed nothing, yet expect the same share as City Lord Yi? How optimistic. I only repeated City Lord Yi's words, Fujian retorted, red-faced. If you object, then propose another method. City Lord Yi led us here and obtained 2 keys, Xiao Ying declared. He should take half. The rest can be divided among us. That sounds like division by merit, Chen Yang said. City Lord Yi contributed most, yes, but fellow Taoist Li secured 2 keys as well. What of his share? And mine for 1 key? Xiao Ying fell silent. No method will be perfectly fair, Qin Yuan said. I propose dividing the treasures into 10 parts. Profound City takes 3, Green Goat City takes 2, and the remaining 5 are evenly split among the other 3 cities. Each city may then decide its own internal distribution. The group pondered this. I agree, Chen Yang said after a moment. Shi Chuangkong, however, looked uneasy. He had passed briefly through Green Goat City before being sent to Profound City and was uncertain where he belonged. At that moment, Chen Yang's voice sounded in his mind. Do not worry, fellow Taoist Shi. I still count you as one of Green Goat City. Relief flashed across Shi Chuangkong's face. Fujian and Sun Tu soon nodded in agreement. Xiao Ying frowned, about to object, but Ikwai spoke first. Fellow Taoist Qin's proposal is reasonable. Let us adopt it? With Ikwai's word final, no further objections were raised. The group then discussed opening the gates. The method was simple. All 5 keys were to be inserted into their corresponding holes simultaneously. Ikwai handed 1 key to Xiao Ying. Hanli passed 1 to Sun Tu. Soon, Ikwai, Xiao Ying, Chen Yang, Hanli, and Sun Tu stood before the gates, each holding a key. Now! Ikwai shouted. 5 keys slid into place at once. The stone gates shuddered violently as crimson patterns ignited across their surfaces, blazing so brightly that everyone shielded their eyes. Mechanical clicks echoed from within as the keys vanished. Thick crimson light burst forth from the holes, twisting together into a massive rune before sinking into the gates. The glow faded, and the gates slowly swung open, revealing a vast, dark passage. Move, Ikwai said, stepping inside. The gates thundered shut behind them once all had entered. Following the passage, they emerged onto a plaza shrouded in darkness. One by one, enormous orbs on the ceiling lit up like stars, pouring down radiant starlight mixed with surging star power. Flames ignited along both walls, racing outward to illuminate the space. The white stone plaza was modest in size, ending at a railing less than 1,000 feet ahead. Beyond it yawned a bottomless abyss, icy winds howling upward. 3 broad stone arch bridges stretched across the void, each leading to a colossal circular white altar suspended at its center like a lone mountain. Ikwai led them across the central bridge. The moment they stepped onto the altar, an overwhelming bloodline aura crashed over them. At its heart lay a pentagonal crater. At each corner stood a black-scaled stone beast, rotund bodies like toads, wings folded at their backs, long, thin necks bearing lizard-like heads that loomed over the crater. Hanli frowned, wary that these statues might awaken at any moment. When hesitation spread through the group, Ikwai alone strode forward. The others followed closely. Peering down, Hanli saw a vast pond of blood within the crater, its surface churning like a tide beneath dense crimson mist. No matter how violently it surged, it never spilled beyond the crater's bounds. Within the roiling blood drifted countless translucent white bones, jade-like and radiant, each emitting a terrifying bloodline aura that made Hanli's heart sink.